You can run real engines exactly the same, but on a carbon neutral fuel.
What sort of interest are you getting from, for example, the car manufacturers?
So the car automotive sector has been an interesting one because clearly they've been aiming for all electric, again by mandate. So it's not a sector we've put a lot of attention to. But again, the EU, you may have seen, just concessed allowance of e-fuels. E-fuel is another name for a synthetic fuel in Europe to continue manufacturing ICE, internal combustion engine cars, beyond 2035, provided they use synthetic fuels. So automotive sector is again in scope for us, although we would say it's not our primary focus because electric cars are also a very good solution in that sector. But most other sectors, aviation, agriculture, marine, general industry, anything mobile that has to carry a lot of weight or endurance, synthetic fuels are actually often the best answer and very often the only answer to defossilize the process.
And what about the manufacturing infrastructure? Obviously, producing conventional fossil fuels that power aircraft and cars, it requires vast refineries. Presumably something similar is involved here, is it?
It is a capital-intensive industry because you have to build a machine that makes the fuel. But in another way, it completely changes the paradigm. So we're used to oil companies are people that go and find oil in really difficult places that get more and more difficult every year. The great thing about synthetic fuels, and it really is a new paradigm, is that you build a machine, you can own it and make your own oil, in effect, in your own backyard. So that brings all sorts of different thoughts, energy security, price security, lack of, no need for long distance transport, pollution in marine pollution, but mainly about that security. You own a machine, you make your own fuel. It is not something that's possible today in the fossil fuel sector.
That was Paddy Lowe from Zero Petroleum. Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, we're going to be speaking with the Chief Executive of the data processing and analytics platform Databricks about its rival to ChatGPT. Stay tuned.
They are overwhelmed just like we are, and the thought that they might have more and more work coming their way is something that doesn't fill them with tremendous excitement. I think there are some things that can be dealt with very easily on the telephone. I think uncomplicated urinary tract infections in women is the perfect telephone consultation, and it doesn't need a pharmacist or a GP. That can be done very easily and straightforwardly. So I think the message is very mixed as far as we're concerned, and it all comes back to this whole issue about capacity, doesn't it? We are overwhelmed. General practice is overwhelmed. My pharmacy colleagues are overwhelmed. They remember the terrible times during COVID when really they were the only open face-to-face clinics around because we were all shut, not seeing patients face-to-face. So they do an amazing job. And yet I gather that hundreds of them are closing each year because they just can't make ends meet. I can tell you that in our first half hour of opening this morning, we took 174 calls. At one stage, 45 people were waiting to see us. I'm pleased to say that we've got the call queue down to 15 now, 250 calls in. But it is hard work doing this. And yes, digital phone calls are very good at producing a queue, but you've still got to provide the stuff that patients need once they've made the phone call. At the moment, it's the average 10-minute consultation is an impossibility. A very droll GP, one of our rags, actually worked out that you could actually spend an hour and a half talking to somebody about something not very complicated. Every patient that comes to see me, I think, is thinking that's the last time they'll ever go and see me. And so they're planning for the rest of their lives. So consultations are very long and very complex. And then the demand is so huge. So we have a huge capacity issue.
Welcome back. Now, interest in artificial intelligence has mushroomed since the recent launch of ChatGPT, but some companies have been active in the field for quite some time. One of them is Databricks, a data processing and analytics platform that uses AI, which was founded a decade ago. It recently launched Dolly 2.0, named after the cloned sheep Dolly, which is its own open source rival to ChatGPT. Well, joining me now is Ali Godsey. He is the chief executive of Databricks. Ali, good to see you this morning. You launched Dolly 2.0 only weeks after the launch of Dolly 1.0. Why the haste?
Well, I mean, the space is moving so fast, and there are new results every week, frankly speaking. So, it's just the pace of things right now. Actually, I follow this stuff on a daily basis now.
And what, without getting too technical on me, what are the main differences between Dolly 2.0 and ChatGPT?
Yeah, actually, there's so many of these released out there, but you can't actually commercially use them. And the reason is most of these models have been trained using output that comes from ChatGPT. And the terms of license of ChatGPT says you cannot use its output to create something that competes with it. That's against its terms. So Dolly 2 is the first model ever that's actually, you can speak to it and it can do those kind of things, and it's commercially usable. It's not tainted. It's not using any OpenAI output at all.
And the key thing is it's open source.
Yes, it's open source. You can verify, what was it trained on? What does it do? You can really understand it, which you can't do with these models that, for instance, OpenAI provides, because they're behind an API. You don't have access to the model. You don't know what's there. All you can do is ask questions and see if you like the answers or not. But you can't actually look inside and see what's under the hood.
Does the fact that it's open source potentially mean it's more open to misuse?
Well, I think it's also more open to researchers understanding it and training new versions of it that is better aligned to what we humans want, so that, it is more honest, it is more helpful, and that, it's harmless.
I mean, some people say that this is the issue with ChatGPT. It almost goes out of its way not to offend. Is there a danger that Dolly might offend some people with its answers?
Yeah, but, it's a research vehicle that we can use, right? Dolly is not something that we put out there that anyone can go use and chat with, right? So it's more for enterprises to figure out, for their use cases that they have, they can train Dolly to do specific tasks that they need for their companies, right? So it's more intended for businesses than for consumers.
And I think you're going to be licensing it out at around $100 a throw, is that right?
Yeah, you can train it with less than $100, yes, in a few hours.
How many licenses will you need to sell them for it to pay for itself?
Well, we didn't spend much effort to build it. So yeah, it's kind of already paid for itself.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
What sort of take-up have you had thus far?
So many people are using it. We didn't actually know. We didn't know that it would have such uptake, but all kinds of use cases that we couldn't even imagine. People are using it to read electronic medical records, to understand diseases, right? People are using it to read insurance documents, to understand risk. People are using it to translate, press releases to 80 languages in just one shot, and so on, things like that. So there are a lot of interesting use cases.
I mean, this is the thing about AI. It's almost pushing at things that we don't properly understand. I mean, that's a concern that's often raised about it.
Yes. So I think I actually welcome, if we look at things like EU AI Act and so on, I think these are early days. Definitely this kind of technology will change the world, do great things. I think actually it's going to revolutionize healthcare. I think we're going to be able to solve all kinds of diseases and cure them. I think it's going to be amazing for education. We're going to be able to, everyone will have their own professor, that can help them understand, learn any subject they want. I think actually scientific breakthrough will be amazed. We'll have great things happening there. But people can also use it for bad things, bad use cases. It's technology that makes anyone more effective. So people who want to do great things, they can do it much more effectively. People who want to do bad things, they can also do it more effectively. So we need to regulate it, of course.
Well, of course. But I mean, there is this, Ian Hogarth in the FT wrote a couple of weeks ago, he was talking about godlike AI that potentially threatens the whole of the human race. Is that over-egging it?
Yeah, so I think there's two separate problems and they get confused. So one is this kind of like godlike AI that takes over everything, Skynet and so on. I don't think that's a big risk. Okay, of course, it's scary, but it's not a big risk because we're nowhere close to building anything that's like that. We just have a parrot that repeats back what it's seen by compressing all of the web. So it's a very good, smart parrot with great memory, and it can combine things and synthesize them, but it's not like a human. So I'm not too worried about that problem. But the existing technology that we actually have built itself could be used, like if you want to create spam and things like that. So there are high-risk use cases, and those are the ones that are being actually regulated, for instance, by the EU AI Act, and I think that's good.
And what about this bonfire of white-collar jobs that it's going to lead to? Is that exaggerated?
Well, I think many jobs will change. I think we still want a human in the loop. Do you want to go to the doctors and just talk to a robot that just tells you that, we're going to chop your arm off? Like, you want to have a human there that explains it. Do you want to send your kids to school with just robots? No, of course, we want a human teacher there. So I think we still want human in the loop. If you look at, for instance, in an airplane, we have autopilot. But would you want to fly a plane that has no pilots in it, right? So we still want a human in the loop, and I think the human will still be there as a guardrail. And I think the nature of jobs will change, and there'll be new jobs that pop up that don't exist today. We don't know exactly what they are. So I think it will create also jobs. But yes, it's going to change the nature of existing jobs.
What did you make of this call from some tech leaders, including Elon Musk recently, to pause AI development for 6 months?
Well, he said, can you please pause this? I'm building my own for 6 months. So that sounds like a smart idea. But 6 months is not going to really change anything. And since this is all out in the open, the genie's out. Researchers all over the planet are working on it. So, this 6-month moratorium doesn't really change anything. So I don't think it actually affects anything.
Now, since we had you on the programme last a couple of years ago, you completed another funding round in August 2021. That valued you at $38 billion. Would you be valued at that sum if you were doing another raise today?
Well, no one really knows, right, until you go out and do that. But there's a lot of excitement around AI. And I think the things that you could do with Databricks, you can now do even more effectively using these large language models. So I think the use cases have actually, exploded for our technology, and companies are coming to us. So every CEO I know is asking, what does this mean for my company? What should I do about it? Tell me the strategy. How do I, can we please sit down? So I think it's going to be great for our business. I don't know exactly what value I would put on it.
Do you need to raise capital anytime soon?
Not really. I mean, we raised, $2.5 billion in a short period of time. So we still have most of that capital and we're fully funded.
Plenty to go. Ali, I could talk to you all day, sir, but we've got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Still to come here on Ian King Live. Why Citroën is targeting the Indian market to drive growth outside Europe. Don't go away.
It is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and Inter, you are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination Inter. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820, or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do that?
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Prampram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Prampram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Broadcasting live online.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
It's your man. Show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the King Makeup about for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show
all around the world. In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio. This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade, Jesus, and that's what makes you great.
This is Starr Radio UK.
The hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same till the end. Till the end. You are God. One who took my pain, took away my shame. Lord, you reign. That's why forever call.
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. I want to salute each and every one of you, and once again welcome you to the morning show. Today is Wednesday, the 10th day of May, the year 2023, with the time now 10:41 from the hearts of London. Do me a massive favor, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. We are broadcasting live on all the social media platforms and on our own apps.
All of you makes you.
I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning
Archie runs deep.
But let me say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Bishop Adesina, Pastor Momo, Pastor Emmanuel Chidi, Olakunle, Anthony Adedeji, Abdul Aziz.
Hold the world in your hands. The hand that made
Samsudin, Massive good morning to you. Tassino, good morning to you.
same God now, yesterday, and forevermore.
Mr. Frank Davis, good morning to you. All the way in Ghana to Kojo D, good morning in the south here. And then to Felix all the way in Aberdeen. Massive good morning to you. All protocol observed. And once again, welcome to the program. Now, if it's the first time of tuning in to listen to us on the Wednesday edition of the morning show, this is how the program goes. For your sake, you know. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day. The weather forecast will follow suit. Then the travel updates will continue from then. We'll continue from then, and then after that, we'll bring you the news that is making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. So that will continue till 11 o'clock when we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki coming in to bring you updates from Nigeria. Then after we continue, because it's a Wednesday edition of the morning show, 11:30, the lines are open for you to add your voice to the discussions. We look at some of the other stories making the headlines across the globe, and then at 12 o'clock, we take you straight to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So in the gist, that's what's going to be today. So wherever you are, I always tell you one thing for sure. Get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate. If you are sitting, sit very comfortably, buckle up. If you are standing, hold on to something. At times it gets bumpy, but you are rest assured of one thing: arriving at your destination in peace, not in pieces. So once again, welcome. Playing in the background, something from Edith Morrison. Great are you, Lord. What makes you great?
This is Starr Radio UK.
Of course, the program will not be void of music. Okay. The quote for the day says, one of the greatest resources that any person can find anywhere in the world is human capital, which in most cases is rooted in networks or social capital. Wow. How do you treat people? With the inception of AI is taking over. Those of you who are listening to the our earlier broadcast that is from Sky before we came on in-house, yeah, you could hear AI discussions going on. But what do you think about all that? If you missed out the discussions on BB Clement yesterday, I bet you have to go there and listen to it. You make a doubt they fail. Okay. Now let's move on straight to the weather front. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather front. Well, some places in Dorset or Somerset has been flooded. They had flash floods there, and that has caused a lot of problems there. But I'm going to bring you more on that front wherever you are during the course of the program or the news. But now for the weather, this is how it's going to be for you today. If you happen to be in London and the southeast of England, now this afternoon is going to be, there's going to be showers that will be quickly move in from the west. Now this will be thundery and mixed with sunny spells. This evening we'll see variable cloud, clear spells, and the odd daytime shower lingering, turning largely dry and clear as the night progresses. And when it comes to the temperature is going to be 18 degrees. Lower it's going to be 8 degrees. Pollen level is going to be moderate. UV level moderate. Pollution low. Sunset 38, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 05:17 hours.
Great are you, Lord. Great are you.
That brings us to the end of the weather forecast. It is Starr Radio UK, 10:46 the time. And that means that I'm taking you straight to the travel update. So let's cross over. Let me bring you the travel update. Starr Radio UK.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay. Keep your eyes on the roads. I'll keep you navigated. I promise I'll born the Starr Radio UK travel update. I can show every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:46. And what is happening on travel? Now, on the district line this morning, minor delays between Elscourt and Edgware road due to an earlier faulty train. Good service on the rest of the line. A Piccadilly line has also got minor delays between Acton Town and Heathrow Terminals, Uxbridge, due to an earlier signal failure at Wood Green. Good service on the rest of the line, though. Set aside, all the other underground services are running good service. DLR and London Tramlink good service, but London Overground has got severe delays. Severe delays between Liverpool Street and Enfield Town, Chestnut, Chinford due to an earlier signal failure. Good service on all other routes. These are being accepted on London Underground services as well. Now keep your eyes on the roads. As we keep navigated, I promise our board. Now moving on straight to the major roads in London. A1 has got serious delays. Blackwall Tunnel serious delays. North Circular A406 serious delays. If you can avoid them, do your best to avoid them. If not, if you are stuck in there, continue to listen to us. What's happening when there are any changes? I promise you one thing for sure. We're going to bring it to the fore. Now on the riverbank this morning, good service throughout London Cable Car, good service there as well. That brings us to the final segment of the travel update. That's the National Rail, where there are a few incidents here and there, but let's go on. Keep your eyes on the roads. The cross country first haul trains, First Transparent Express, Great Northern, Greater Anglia, London North Eastern Railway have all got minor delays. Now Northern Rail, South Western Railway, Southern, Thameslink and Transport for Wales, minor delays as well. Also, Great Western Railway has got severe delays. That aside, all the others, good service there. That is how I would say it once again, as I do say all the time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time down to 10 minutes to the top of the hour. And that means that it's now time for Global Trotting.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Okay, welcome back. So, what is happening from across the globe? When it comes to Nigeria, Yomi is going to be telling us more about that once he comes on. But let me give you some of the headlines going on there. 46% of Nigerian adults abuse antibiotics, microbiologists are saying, and lost 9 million data subscribers in 2021 over SIM registration. That Nigeria lost 9 million data subscribers. Well, I don't know how it's bettered the lives of the people. I don't know how it has helped in the security situation that is going on, because it looks like things are rather getting worse off, right? Okay, and now the Presidential Tribunal, Tinubu replies article over request to broadcast court proceedings. We're going to be telling you more about that. Why don't they want it? Do they want it? We'll be telling you more about that once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki on the program. Okay, so just bear with me whilst I bring you all the other stuff that is happening in Nigeria today. Yes, as I did say, so the tribunal hearing is going on this morning in Niger. Yes. Okay, El-Rufai speaks on return as federal FCT minister and Tinubu. And then kidnapping gunmen storm Plateau University, invade female hostel. My goodness. And beavers to rescue as Supreme Court affirms Adeleke Oshun governor. Okay, so those are some of the stories. Tribunal makes fresh demand as Tribunal moves petition against president. And Tinubu responds to article, as I did say, lots more going to be coming your way from there as we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining in exactly at 11 o'clock. Now, Nigeria's crude oil production declines to 1.51 million barrels per day in March. Why? Is it because of OPEC's instruction? That's to create scarcity to keep the prices up. Maybe that is what is happening. But well, what is happening about that? Lots more going to be coming your way. So stay tuned. Don't you go away. When it comes to other stories making the rounds, now Sudan, strong explosion in Khartoum on the 26th day of the war. We were awakened by explosions and heavy artillery fire. A resident of Omdurman, a city on the outskirts of Khartoum, has said. A protesters rally in support of army in Port Sudan as conflict displaces over 700,000 people. Now, Senegal opposition calls for protests over alleged threat to bar Sonko from vote. It's all coming away from Star Radio UK. And Malawi court has ordered schools to allow dreadlocks A high court in Malawi has directed the Ministry of Education to allow students with dreadlocks to be enrolled in public schools in the country. Now, what's wrong with people having dreadlocks? Okay, let me tell you more about that. I don't know the link between Tunisia and Israel, but worshippers attend annual Jewish pilgrimage at Tunisia's. It's quite interesting. Jewish pilgrims pray at the Gariba synagogue in Tunisia's southern resort island of Jebba during the annual Jewish pilgrimage to the synagogue. Now held each year on the 33rd day of the Passover, the 2-day pilgrimage is central to traditions of Tunisian Jews. Tunisia hopes to welcome at least 7,000 pilgrims this year, given that 4,000 were in attendance in 2022. Now, the Geba pilgrimage marks the beginning of the tourist season in Tunisia. It is also an important event of the Jewish economy. Several nationalities are expected from United States, United Kingdom, Italy, France, etc. The synagogue of Gariba is one of the oldest in the world, 2,600 years old. My goodness. Okay. Wow. So at least we learned something today, right? Okay, when it comes to Ghana, don't raise the accountability bar for NDC. Bawa Mokhtari is telling Ghanaians. What does she mean by that? I'll be telling you more about that. Attorney General responds to Multimedia's request for information on missing Ghanaian fisheries observer. I'll be telling you more about that one as well. WhatsApp exchange with Fifi Kwete filed as exhibit in default injunction suit. So lots more going to be coming your way from there. Stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right. So let's move on straight to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. As you might have overheard, now Trump's jury finds Trump sexually abused writer in New York store. The jury in the civil case also finds the former president liable for defaming writer E. John Carroll. Well, we know that overnight Trump has gone rampaging, saying that, you know what, I didn't do nothing, blah, blah, blah. But well, we'll be telling you more about that. It's going to appeal. What is that going to change his fortunes when it comes to running as a for the presidency on the ticket of the Republicans once again? What is going to happen there? We're going to tell you more about that. Now, Imran Khan in court as Pakistan arrests hundreds. The former prime minister appears before a judge after his dramatic arrest on corruption charges sparks protests. Well. Yesterday it was quite scary, but we'll be telling you more about that. Defending the last Ukrainian streets in Bakhmut. The eastern city is a crumpled skeletal wreck, but Ukraine knows losing it could be costly. So they are still plodding on, as my brother Felix will say there as well. And deadly shooting near Africa's oldest synagogue. 2 visitors and 2 security guards are killed in an attack on the Tunisian island of Jebba. I did say it. Okay, so it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 3 minutes to the top of the hour. On the UK front, now major incident declared as flash flood hits south. Other parts of England have also seen torrential rain causing damage to homes and businesses. Now, baby born from 3 people DNA in UK first. Most of the babies' DNA comes from their 2 parents, with a small percentage from a donor. But this time around, you can see all the 3 coming together there. And ministers to clash with peers over migration plans. The Archbishop of Canterbury, a critic of the bill aimed at tackling small boats crossing, is expected to speak against it. What is going to happen there? Well, interesting. Have you driven on the motorway before? When you see the big trucks going by, how do you feel? The articulated trucks. Do you feel that there are some that are 2, okay, but not as long as it's going to be now, but longer lorries to be allowed on Britain roads? More goods can be carried in fewer trips, says government, but campaigners have safety concerns. Why are we not using the rails? That is a big question there. Why aren't we using the rails? Okay, So this is a lot more going to be coming your way. It is all coming your way from Star Radio UK. 2 minutes to the top of the hour at a time. Let's go enjoy some music. This one is from Mika Paris, and it says something inside so strong. There's something in you that is so strong that it doesn't matter the hurdles and the challenges that you are going through. Be rest assured you will still make it if you continue to keep on keeping on. Enjoy this music, and I'll be with you in a moment once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Stay tuned.
This is Starr Radio UK.
The taller I become, the further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly it will blind you. 'Cause there is something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough. Well, we know better.
This is Starr Radio UK.
We're gonna do it anyway. 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 I know that I can make it, but you do me wrong. so strong.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 7 minutes past the top of the hour. That means that I've got with me the one and only White Lion in the house, and let me say good morning to you, Yummy.
Well, a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear because we're using a different device this morning.
Yes, loud and clear, loud and clear.
Because I realized that the picture quality hasn't been coming great in the last few days. Not too sure why, but we're doing everything possibly best on the Starr Radio to make sure that our people that are listening to us can enjoy, the best of the program every Monday to Friday. And then I say good morning once again, and it's good to be back, with you again, Mr. Archie. Yes. Even though we know it's a limited time that we normally have.
Yes. How are you doing, and how is the family?
Well, the family is doing very well. The family have gone to school, and you remember that it seems that in the morning we have to keep telling them that you are the privilege to be here. There are so many African children that wants to go to school and they are not having the privilege. About almost 15 million Nigerian children are currently out of school according to the United Nations and the different NGOs and organizations. So But also the train station had a bit of glitch this morning while the wife was making her way to work, and that means extra money onto the cab that ended up taking her to work because she was already not running late. But since the train is not working, the beauty of the transportation in the UK is one of the best in the world. You cannot, override it. But the moment that there's a glitch on one of the, the network, either through engineering reason, signal reason, or through any other means, that would definitely disrupt the movement, and there will be more pressure on the road. So kudos to the, to the transport and the team that are working on there day to night, night to day. Because this is what we say when we talk about the connectivity between Benin Republic and Ghana. Togo was a place that one of my friends visited recently, and they had to make a journey, which are quite long journey, because we do not have that transportation that connects the African country. And we hope in the future, when Africa itself comes back to its sense, we can be able to move around. Especially as we saw that the Egyptian border were closing their border for a lot of Sudanese and Nigerians that were trying to flee the current war. But apart from that, we're good and we're great. It's 10 minutes past, and I'll come back slightly again to you in the studio. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, Star Radio UK.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. Well, there's a lot that have happened in the past 24 hours. But let's start it with, kick it off with the election tribunal issue that is going on, because we know that Atiku, I don't know whether Peter Obi was also calling for that there should be a live broadcast of it. But Tinubu has come to whether to say that they are not ready to do it. I'm not very sure about that. Can you give us a bit detail about that, sir?
Well, the election tribunal that we started having the conversation yesterday is still one of the most discussed situation room, if you want to put it that way, in Nigeria. And the reason for that is, like I always say, Nigeria is experiencing a very first time where we are having these three political parties that are squaring it out within the tribunal and the election itself. It has always been two political parties, for since 1999 when we came back to democracy. PDP, took a very good stand from almost 1999. Obasanjo was the first, president for 2 terms. Then Yaradua came in. Yaradua died. May so rest in peace. Jonathan came in. Jonathan was the vice of Yaradua. There was a cabal that wanted to stop him from becoming the president. Eventually, under so many, conversation and pressure, Jonathan ended up becoming the president during that time. Then he contested, he won, and that literally means that in 2015, major political party came together, mostly the Action Group, the CPC that the Buhari is under, then formed what we called APC. But just weeks before the primaries, we realized that the Atiku under the PDP were not ready to allow the Southeast taking control. So that literally means that people fall back. Atiku did not get the power. The influence he would have got from major political party within his own caucus. Wike did not allow people to vote, for Atiku. Then we now saw Peter Obi also pulling out. That then gave us where we are today. Presidential Election Tribunal, 5 justices that will determine Tinubu, Atiku, and Peter Obi, like we said yesterday. It has started again today. A panel of the 5 justices yesterday have commenced hearing petition challenging the outcome of the 2023 presidential election. As we speak right now, it is still a process. We cannot determine what will be the outcome. We can speculate about it. We can talk about it. But these 5 justices will make what is called the biggest, when it comes to Africa, because we know the influence of Nigeria in African countries, but it seems that influence will definitely be the outcome, because whoever becomes the president will also be, doing a lot in the African Union and so many other things around the world. But as we speak right now, it is still an ongoing process.
Okay, listeners, we'll be following it very closely, and we'll be telling you more as things unfold. Let me say good morning to Tons AJ. He said, good afternoon, White Lion and Archie. Tons, I hope you are doing very, very well. We thank God Nigeria has not happened to you, but it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK. Now, let's move on to some information that has just come through. Fire gutting the Nigeria Air Force Base. How true is that? Is it true? And have they been moving some private jets from the place, of course?
Well, this morning there was panic after the fire got some buildings within the Nigerian Air Force Base along Airport Road at the Federal Capital Territory. The cause of the fire outbreak that got at the military base beside the Nigerian Coronation Service headquarters is unknown as at the press time. However, information confirmed timely intervention of the operatives of the Federal Fire Service that attempted to put out the fire. We don't know that negligence and the fire safety is not something that is much common in African countries and in Nigeria. But we do also know that the fire that got at the NFA base and the men that are putting out the fire are working hard to completely quench the fire. However, like I said, the cause of the fire outbreak is not yet out, and a statement once our findings are concluded will be known to the public.
Okay, listeners.
And as we're saying that, we can then go straight to the Muritala Mohammed Airport as well, where the federal government have ordered the private jet removal from Abuja Airport. What could be the reason behind it? The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria has ordered the immediate relocation of aircraft that are stationed at the General Aviation Terminal of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, ahead of the inauguration of the new government, because we do know that there will be a lot of dignitaries that will be traveling from different parts of the world, and as we also know, most of them will be coming in with their own private jet, and that means there must be enough room where they're going to be parking some of these aircraft. According to FAN, said the removal of the aircraft that are parked currently at Abuja Airport was necessary also to enhance the safety of the airport during the forthcoming presidential inauguration. So you can tell that as much as the election tribunal is still ongoing, we also still know that there is still preparation. Like I said yesterday, I've already seen the invitation for the inauguration, even though we've not been invited. But like I said, in as much as the election tribunal is ongoing, that has not stopped the preparation. But one thing I can say is, it seems I thought President have returned back to Nigeria, but I can confirm that President Buhari not yet returned back to Nigeria because of London dentists delaying it.
Wow. Interestingly, Yomi has been putting some of the picture of the president actually having a toothpick, cleaning his teeth, or whether after he's had some suya or some nice meal, trying to take whatever out of his teeth. Maybe what he was doing at the time might have caused him some teeth problem, and therefore he needs to see a dentist, and that delay has caused him not to return to the country. But well, kudos to him. That's some of the information. But we know that the new president, the president-elect, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go, with the clearing of Murtala Mohammed Airport and everything that is going on, for sure, Nigeria's president-elect Tinubu is set to return to France for medical care to boost his health in preparation for the May 29th swearing in. Meanwhile, he has not even become the president yet to face the full rigors and the challenges that comes with the presidency, and he is on his way to I don't know whether they are going to inject him with some booster.
Well, Nigeria is is a very interesting country in the sense that we have a budget for the Aso Rock, but like I said, according to the media aid of President Muhammadu Buhari, it was here for one purpose, for the coronation and the engagement with the Commonwealth, but also President Muhammadu Buhari will be in London for another week, according to his aide. Additional week at the behest of his dentist, who has started attending to him. When the president returns, it will be few days before the swearing in of President-elect Bola Tinubu, that is also on his way to Paris, according to information. Nigerian President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is returning back to France for medical care to boost his health in preparation for May 29. Well, health is something that is important. Remember, we talked about one of the African presidents that came into UK, that had a partial stroke, but he was still here. But one thing is, why the medical travel outside the country? Because the healthcare system in Nigeria, where Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State for 8 years, have not get to the standard that it can get that kind of treatment in Nigeria. And that literally means that, both Tinubu, the elected president, and President Muhammadu Buhari, the president currently almost finishing his tenure in just under 19 days from today, because today is the 10th, so we have 19 more days. Buhari is spending a week in London. We do not know how far Tinubu will be spending, but the Nigerian president is returning to France yesterday to see his doctors in preparation for the inauguration on May 29. According to the media report, Sarah reporter exclusively learned Tinubu will be leaving in the night, but will return before he's swearing in. So it seems that they're all making the last final trip before their return, and likewise before the handover, which Buhari will be doing. As we do know, he cannot continue after May 29 because he has done the 2-term according to the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
But listeners, it's Star Radio UK. I'm just from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi, Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we are bringing with that. Now, Yomi, let me ask you the question. Are we trying to say that, well, when we talk about some of the health system, when it came to the president coming to the UK for how many months here in the UK because of ill health, they didn't tell us what exactly it was. Are we trying to say that Nigeria has not got any dentistry that is good enough to treat the president?
Well, Buhari argument has always been that he has been used to UK, in terms of his health management, since, after he left as a military dictator after the overthrow of the government. So London seems to be his best bet. Not that we do not have the best, when it comes to this dentistry or those that can look after the president. We know that the vice, Osibajo, had a small surgery sometime last year that was operated in Nigeria by Nigerian doctors, and it went successfully well. But the argument for Buhari has been that he preferred to be in London, where he has been using his medical treatment before he became the president. Not that he cannot use the one in Nigeria, but he preferred to be in London. And like we always say, he was almost 8 months away when he came in 2015, because for almost 7 months there was no cabinet minister because the health of the president was not able to allow him to perform his function as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2015.
Well, we hope that this time around Tinubu will not be like that. He will be in and out if everything goes on the way it's supposed to be, and then we will see him seeing to the affairs of the country. All right then, listen to Star Radio UK. We go back to Yomi. Well, for the Osun State ruling that took place yesterday, Adeleke has been congratulated by the president and the president-elect as well. Can you give us a bit of a background to that, Yomi?
Well, Osun State, yesterday, the final, and that's the governor of Osun State behind there, Adeleke is also the cousin to Davido, the artist that is well known across the globe. But according to the Supreme Court yesterday, upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which on March last month 24th affirmed that Ademola Adeleke of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the July 16, 2022 governorship election in Osun State. Those elections came out here because, like we always say, there's always been issues when it comes to each of the states that are running their own election that is not parallel to 2023 or the main election, because right now that means they're ahead of the rest, and that because issue has been happening in the past in some of those states like Osun State. But the Apex Court yesterday judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Agim dismissed the appeal that was filed by the former governor Adegboyega Oyetola of the All Progressive Congress to challenge the appellate court judgment affirming Adeleke as the winner. Yesterday was jubilation in Osun State. I saw some of the workers, celebrating, rolling themselves on the floor. The Apex Court, which said it found no reason to set aside the verdict of the Court of Appeal in Adeleke's favor, have also awarded 500,000 damage against Oyetola and the PDP. The Apex Court held true. The Apex Court that thought Oyetola alleged that Adeleke won through overvoting in the 774 polling unit in the state, the ex-governor failed to adduce any substantial evidence to support his claim. But as we do know that the election tribunal for Peter Obi, Atiku, and Tinubu, it seems that they have enough evidence, but that will be determined again by some of the justice that will be looking into that. Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, on the update from Osun State regarding Adeleke, the governor of Osun State, when the results wanted to be upturned, but it seems the court has finally given the verdict yesterday.
Well, the case has been upheld, so verdict and congratulations to Adeleke. But Adeleke belongs to the APC, right?
The PDP.
The PDP. Okay, that's quite an interesting one. That is quite an interesting one. We have the president congratulating him. We have Tinubu also congratulating him. We have not heard the PDP leader congratulating him yet, though. But if you look at it, is it a ploy to say that, look, whatever, you see, we have accepted whatever the Supreme Court had come out with, a verdict that the Supreme Court had come out with. So when it comes to the presidential, what is going on, you people also have to accept it. Is that a ploy? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, the APC are already telling the PDP and the Peter Obi to prepare for such. So by the time the outcome comes back and favors them, then there should not be any crisis or any other thing. They should just accept the defeat and move on, where Tinubu becomes the full president come May 29. But the PDP and the Obi will have to wait, for that judgment. Finally, we don't know when that is going to be wrapped up. Maybe before the 29th or not.
Okay, we'll all wait to see. Maybe after 29th and the verdict comes and they say that they have to have a rerun, or they've quashed their results. I don't know how that's going to be for Nigeria. My goodness, that would be a day. But well, listeners, Star Radio UK is the Wednesday edition of the morning show, so we know that we are pressed with time. But let me go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, a very sad one to go with now, as a truck crushed a U.S. returnee to death in Lagos State. What do we know? A yet to be identified middle-aged man on Friday, May 5, met his ultimate death after he was crushed by a moving truck along Ishare Igodo Road in Alimosho local government area. According to the information gathered, that the accident occurred just about 7 p.m. when the deceased victim just returned from the trip, but according to eyewitness who did not want his name to be printed, said he was trying to cross the road at the Diamond Estate area of the community after purchasing some items. When the incident happened, the source said the man had just returned from the trip and was about to go into the estate where he lived. When he asked the driver to stop, he wanted to cross the road. A vehicle crossed over him, and the next one eventually crushed him. We pray for the family and those that are known to this particular individual as well. May Nigeria not happen to us. As we go into the next one, it seems that getting your passport could be also a delay, as Buhari regime, according to the headline, and the Central Bank of Nigeria responsible for the passport scarcity. That can be a stress, especially not to Nigerians that are trying to japa, but to so many Nigerians that wants to renew their passport in UK, where we do know that there's a lot of atrocity committed in some of these embassies, like the one in UK, where some are paying up to £150 just to get your passport renewed. NIS has now blamed the scarcity of the passport booklet on President Muhammadu Buhari's regime and the Central Bank of Nigeria policy on the forex. According to the information, the NIS Control General Idris Jare disclosed this at the public hearing that was organized by the ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives in Abuja. Foreign exchange regulation policy of the government and the CBN refusal to grant access to forex for importation of the passport booklet. Nigeria does not produce anything. That means we must rely on other countries to help us produce the passport booklet and then end up into Nigeria and other countries around the world. But since the reserve have continued to dilapidated, we know that when Obasanjo was leaving, we had about almost 51 billion US dollars with the forex, the foreign reserve rather. But today we have less than 30 billion US dollars. And if a country is not producing, is not industrialized, there will be stress on the amount of money that could be used. Remember that most airlines last year did not want to come to Nigeria because they were struggling to pull out their money out of Nigeria, And if you're going to pull out your money, I'm not sure you need the naira to be spent in UAE, where Emirates, as an example, pull out. Eventually, that was resolved quickly so that it does not have impact on so many Nigerians that are traveling into the country using some of these airlines. So it seems again, getting your passport is a big problem because Nigeria do not have enough forex. The major 7 components used for producing passport are sold in international markets, and assembly and production are done, guess where? In Malaysia. In the 80s, Nigeria provided the palm oil seed that Malaysia has now used to become the largest palm oil producer in the world. Mr. Jire explained that the IRIS Smart Technology Limited, the foreign company responsible for producing the Nigerian passport, had done well given the prevailing circumstances, noting that the presidential directive to commence the production of passport locally by the Nigerian Security Print and Minting was a welcome development. He, however, recommended that the proper exit plan be implemented for a smooth handover from the foreign firm to prevent any breach of contract and production process. Nigerians continue to struggle from Libya, where we have a lot of Nigerians that are currently in prison for 2 years. They are not getting the support from the Libya ambassador representing Nigeria, where the IOM is ready to evacuate them back home, but they are being told to pay close about almost close to 500,000 naira equivalent. So that is about that. We're going to move straight to the social media because of the time constraint at about 30 minutes past 11 a.m. this morning. This is still Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. The Southeast is trending as there was a 2 days sit-at-home from yesterday, and we do know that tomorrow, Nnamdi Kanu case is meant to be coming back again into the court. According to Are Ayodeji, a very uncultured set of people, they just insult anybody. People that the IGR of Ogun State is higher than the whole state in the Southeast combined. It's probably responding to some video that I'm not sure what is contained in that video. APC chieftains, why the Southeast should not seek Senate presidency, according to the airline there as well. So again, this is what the APC presidential candidates scored in each zone across Nigeria. In the Northwest, 2.6 million, North Central, 1.7 million, Northeast, 1.1 million, Southwest 2.2 million, South 799,000, but it seems that nothing is coming from the Southeast. So it seems that as more pressure from Tinubu trying to determine who becomes the next Senate president is a discussion on the table as we speak. And that is one of the reasons why it is trending. Definitely Tinubu is trending at about 75.4. He's still the president-elect. Is currently leaving the country for more medical treatment. And let's quickly look at why people are saying Tinubu discussion this morning. According to Olisa Agbakoba, the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, the court is deliberately becoming lackadaisically in handling Peter Obi versus Tinubu's case. The jurisdictional and procedural issues in all these petitions can be resolved under 1 week because you don't need evidence or witness, just a copy of the Constitution and the Electoral Act. So that is definitely coming there as well. And also Simon Ekpa yesterday exposition of how Tinubu gathering the worst criminals in Nigeria was part of his discussion yesterday. So let's look at some of the comment of Tinubu traveling out of the country as well. It seems somebody has been able to put a graph of Buhari's traveling out, and let's see if the engineer can quickly give us that, and then I can read that out for those that are with us this morning. Once again, it is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station. So behind me is the detailed graph of President Muhammadu Buhari traveling out of Nigeria. Let's look at it quickly. President Buhari has spent about 200 days abroad for medical treatment since 2015. Let's go from the first one. February 2016, Mr. Buhari took his first medical vacation only 8 months after coming to office. He spent 6 days in London between the 5th of February and the 10th of February in 2016. 2017, May 7 precisely, he traveled again, returned after 104 days, had misinformation about the true state of his health. He went back again January 2017. The president traveled from January 19, 2017, returned exactly 50 days after his departure, but was not able to resume work immediately. 2016, his second medical trip on the June 6, 2016, he traveled for 13 days to England seeking further treatment for ear infection. May 2018, Mr. Buhari traveled to London. May 2018 for a 4-day medical review. March 2021, the president flew to London for a medical checkup, one that lasted 15 days. He traveled to London on July 2021 for a scheduled medical follow-up and is due back in the second week. So in terms of President-elect Bola Tinubu, some of those that are now saying these 4 years go long go. If this is true, why contesting in the first place is coming from Joshua Aroke? Wait person will get case for court when they go France. Abidis now playing, so definitely explaining in a broken English that the person that has the case in the court, Tinubu doesn't have to be in the court, he has the legal team. Every 15 days, I see, well done. It seems somebody has already calculated from the time Tinubu arrived back in Nigeria up to the time he's traveling again. Star Radio UK, that is how far we can go this morning because of the time constraint. But later on Niger Voices, there will be more discussion as the next person says, President don't turn to battery where they charge every week.
Well, he needs to be charged up. Maybe the battery, the power is going down a bit. So a booster. Maybe they have to get him a pack. Wherever he's going, he has it at his back, and then that will be boosting him. Well, listen to Star Radio UK. As Yomi has said, this evening we're going to continue on the Niger Voices exactly at 18 hours. All right, Yomi, before you go.
Well, join us later on this evening where we discuss everything from the politics to the self-determination, the Yoruba, the way forward. A lot of people are asking, what is the way forward, to achieving a nation? And when we say nation, what does it mean to be a nation? All this conversation later on tonight at exactly 1800 hours, which is just 6 p.m. local time in Nigeria, 6 p.m. local time in UK on the Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Have a great morning. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. It is Star Radio UK 1136. We're going to take a musical break, and once we come back, we'll continue with the show. We'll bring you everything that you need to know before I take you straight to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time today at exactly 12 o'clock. So now, enjoy this song, another one from Mika Paris, and it says, change is going to come. Change is going to come. I know Nigerians are yearning for a change. Ghanaians are, Africans are, everyone across the globe is yearning for a change. But will that come soon, or it's going to be late and too late for some people? Enjoy this and I'll be with you.
This is Star Radio UK.
Like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh yes it will. Yes it will.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program, and that was a lovely tune from Mika Paris, a cover version of Sam Cooke's song "Change Is Gonna Come." Change is gonna come. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give in. Don't give up. Keep on keeping on. And I tell you something for sure. Change is gonna come if you really want it. All right. Okay. I've got about another 18 minutes to bring to go global and just get everything done so that I can take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So buckle up. Let's go. It's going to be a very fast one. Yes. So when it comes to some of the stories making the rounds on the African continent, now, as I did say, worshippers to attend annual Jewish pilgrimage at Tunisia Gariba Synagogue. Information coming through says that there have been some shootings there, and a couple of people have died there as well. But France trial of a former Rwanda gendarme for genocide. The trial of Philippe Hategekimana, naturalized French in 2005 under the name Philippe Mania, opened on Wednesday in Paris for genocide crimes. We hope that whatever he did, he's held culpable if he actually was part of it. But we know for sure that is going to happen straight on. And in Nigeria, more than 13,000 women and children have fled exaction. And it says more than 13,000 women and children have fled the island of Niger River after exactions by armed men in these territories of the Tilaberi region that is in the west, where clashes between communities have left several dead, said Tuesday. The Nigerian radio station Voix du Sahel say in Ayoro, its dissolution, more than 13,000 women and children from 46 islands in the Niger River have fled the abuses of armed bandits to take refuge in this town located 200 kilometers from Niamey, according to the radio. Well, we hope that they are given the necessary help that they really need so that they can get about their life in peace. Now, I do at times ask myself the question, when there are wars and stuff like that, and we have people just going sexually abusing others and stuff like that, but when it happens that during the last 2 weeks of April, more than 670 victims of sexual violence were taken care of in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, alerted the NGO Doctors Without Borders, MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, on Tuesday evening. From April 17 to 30, 48 new victims of sexual violence per day were cared for by MSF teams in sites for displaced people around Goma, capital of the troubled province of North Kivu. Now, nearly 60% of them have been assaulted in the various 72 hours, says MSF. The vast majority of victims are women. More than half of them report having been attacked by armed men. This happens most of the time when they travel outside the sites of the displaced in search for firewood and food. Specifies the medical organization. There's a sad one there. I don't know how that will feel like, but people perpetrating that. Is it because they are so desperate they've left their homes? Well, I mean, but even that, you don't have the right to go and attack somebody sexually. Okay, and so authorities visit affected villages and hand out coffins and aid to disaster victims. Well, and then when it comes to Sudan, strong explosion in Khartoum on the 25th day of the war. The information says that, well, strong explosions has rocked Khartoum on Wednesday morning on the 26th day of the war for power in Sudan between soldiers and paramilitary without any humanitarian corridors having so far been approved by the negotiators of the two camps. Now, we were awakened by explosions and heavy artillery fire. A resident of Omdurman city on the outskirts of Khartoum said. Now, overnight, other witnesses in different neighborhoods of Khartoum reported two huge explosions head across the capital, which has a population of 5 million. Residents of the El Obeid, 350 kilometers west of the capital, also reported fighting and explosion in their town. Now, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan army and General Mahmoud Mohammed Hamadan Daglo's dreaded paramilitary rapid support forces sent negotiators to Saudi Arabia on Saturday for only technical pre-discussions on corridors secured for humanitarian aid. Well, they'll fight, destroy everything. Then after that, what? Did they come to the people to say, now we want to rule over you? Well. So coming away from Star Radio UK. Now, gunman kills 4 at Tunisia synagogue pilgrimage. As I did say, Tunisia's police officer shot dead 4 people. Tunisian police officer shot dead 4 people at Africa's oldest synagogue in an attack on Tuesday that sparked panic during an annual Jewish pilgrimage on the island of Jebba. He gunned down 2 visitors, including a French citizen and 2 fellow officers, before he was shot dead himself, the Interior Ministry said. Another 4 visitors and 5 police officers were wounded in the attack, in the first on foreign visitors Tunisia since 2015, and the first on the pilgrimage to the Gariba synagogue since a suicide truck bombing killed 21 people in 2002. The Tunisian Foreign Ministry identified the 2 visitors killed as a 30-year-old Tunisian and a French national, age 42. It did not release their names. Tunisian police deployed around Gariba synagogue during a shootout with a colleague who opened fire on them. The assailant had first shot dead a colleague and taken his ammunition before opening fire at the synagogue, sparking panic among the hundreds of visitors there. So I asked myself the question, in areas or countries where security is not that up to scratch, do we give ourselves, or do we go in there to say that we are going for pilgrimage and stuff like that? So I want to say that I'm doing that. If I do that, I'm trying to destroy their tourism sector or whatever they are celebrating. But at times I look at it and I say, no, I'm not sure about the security arrangements there, and I wouldn't want to be part of it. But well, that's what is happening. Now let's come to Ghana as well. A special aide to the former president, John Mahama, says Ghanaians should not raise the bar of accountability any higher than they have for the governing party when the National Democratic comes to power. Now, according to Joyce Bar Mokhtari, instead of scrutinizing what the former president says on his campaign trail, Ghanaians should rather focus on the failures of the ruling government and hold them to account. We should not in any way raise the bar for the National Democratic Congress. I'm sure that we need to do it to put the MPP litmus test on all the key factors that they pledge to do upon assumption of office, on corruption, on media freedoms, or press freedom, on employment of persons without any discrimination, in terms of access, in terms of building a better economy, in terms of managing our health institutions, in terms of providing road, water, electricity, all the things that you and I desire. The worst part is that they promise to better manage. They have literally run aground. The country is currently bankrupt, she said. Well, she was speaking in relation to John Mahama's statement in the Northern Region while addressing party faithfuls, where he said his government will recruit their children and young party members into the security services. Well, it's interesting. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. There is some rankings going on when it comes to the NDC primaries that's supposed to take place. One of the contenders, the flag bearer aspirant of the National Democratic Congress, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, has filed a suit against the party following what he described as some discrepancies identified in the voters' register ahead of the May 13 primaries. In a writ filed at the Accra High Court, Dr. Dufo argued that the party had failed to provide the required photo album register 5 weeks ahead of the elections as stated in the party's rules. The businessman had raised concerns about the credibility of the photo album register and asked the party to postpone its upcoming presidential and parliamentary primaries until the proper thing was done. But the party has turned down his request, while some officials accuse his team of bad faith. Per the writ filed on Tuesday, May 9, the former governor of the Bank of Ghana is seeking 3 main reliefs, namely, 1, a declaration that the photo album register issued by the first and second defendants to the plaintiff on the 4th May 2023 as the primary document for conducting the internal presidential elections of the National Democratic Congress on the 13th of May 2023 is incomplete and inaccurate. It's incomplete and inaccurate. Now, 2, or B, an order directing the first and second defendants to prepare and deliver a complete and accurate photo album register to the plaintiff and other presidential aspirants of the National Democratic Congress at least 5 weeks ahead of the election to enable the aspirants carry out the needed verification of the photo album register. And then C, an injunction restraining the 1 and 5 defendants from conducting the internal presidential election of the National Democratic Congress on the 13th of May 2023, pending compliance with relief B Supra. The plaintiff adds that to their utmost surprise, upon verification, it was found that the number of constituencies on the hard drive given to his representative was 220 in number, as opposed to the alleged number of 228 constituencies indicated by the defendant, he stated. The plaintiff adds further that an initial verification of the said 220 constituencies on the hard drive given to his representatives by the second defendant established basic errors and inaccuracies and rendered the photo album register inaccurate and unreliable for a free, fair, and credible election. The former governor of the Bank of Ghana added that despite his request for a postponement of the election until the photo album register is secured, the party has failed to heed his request. In this regard, Dr. Dufo is asking the court to grant an interlocutory injunction to restrain the party. The General Secretary, Election Director, co-contestants John Mahama and Kojo Bonsu and the Electoral Commission from holding elections on Saturday, May the 13th. This is pending the production of the complete and accurate photo album register and delivery of some of the to the plaintiff and other presidential aspirants of the National Democratic Congress at least 5 weeks ahead of the election, as per grounds deposed to in the accompanying affidavits, and for any further orders the Honorable Court may deem fit. So now, when was we're talking about the 13th, so in 3 days' time, this should have taken place. That is Saturday. However, with what is happening at the moment, I'm not sure what it's going to be. Is the court? Yeah, virtually the court is going to injunct, yes, and therefore it might not take place. But what fate would have Dr. Dufour drawn for himself? Well, we're going to be looking into it, God willing, tomorrow. But the General Secretary of the MP, is now the Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, the former General Secretary, General Mosquito Amin, has reassured the members that presidential and parliamentary elections will proceed as scheduled on Saturday, May 13. According to Esedun Ketia, the party has followed proper procedures and adhered to the constitution throughout the electoral process. Now, speaking in an interview yesterday, Esedun Ketia stated, whatever we do, there are measures that we follow, and also the elections are also in accordance with the constitution unless the party decides otherwise for its internal election. And so far, in all the procedures and measures that we have implemented, we haven't faulted in any way or gone against any law. So what about that list that was given to the Dufour team, which showed only 220 constituencies instead of 228? What does that actually mean? But well, it is Starr Radio UK. We'll leave that for the time being, because we've got only 5 minutes to take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. Here in the UK, major incidents have been declared as flash floods hits the south, and so if you are traveling via that place, please be very, very careful, or if you are there, get yourself to a higher ground and keep yourself safe. Now, phone hacking trial involving Prince Harry has begun as well. The Duke of Sussex is among several high-profile figures bringing claims against the publisher of the Mirror. All right then, more going to be coming your way from there. It is Starr Radio UK. And MP joins Lawrence Fox's Reclaim Party. So what is a Reclaim Party? I don't have the time to tell you more about that, but God will tomorrow. But the Northwest Leicestershire MP Andrew Bridgen has joined Reclaim, a party set up by actor Lawrence Fox. Now, Mr. Bridgen was kicked out of the Conservative Party last month after comparing COVID vaccines to the biggest crime against humanity since the Holocaust. Now, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called his comments utterly unacceptable. Announcing his decision to join Reclaim, Mr. Bridgen said he had been a prisoner in the Conservatives. Now, I have reclaimed my freedom, he told a press conference. He also predicted he would not be the first MP to switch to Reclaim, saying this is just the beginning. The Liberal Democrats Deputy Leader Daisy Cooper said Andrew Bridgen and his information have absolutely no place in the House of Commons, and now his defection to a failed fringe political party cements it. Well, what do you think about all that? Well. One other story from other parts of the world, this around pertaining to, two of them, Donald Trump as well. The jury find Trump sexually abused writer in New York store, but as we know, and has gone round everywhere, Trump's legal team are set to appeal the ruling. Okay, so we see. But finally, Pakistan former Prime Minister Imran Khan has appeared before a judge a day after his arrest on corruption charges sparked nationwide protests. Nearly 1,000 people have been arrested, police say, since Mr. Khan was held in Islamabad on charges which he denies. There is tight security at the police guest house where he is being detained, which is serving as a courtroom. The arrest dramatically escalated a political battle between Mr. Khan and Pakistan powerful military. The conviction will disqualify him from standing for election. At least 2 people died in violent protests that broke out in several cities across Pakistan following his arrest on Tuesday. The former international cricket star 70 was ousted last April, less than 4 years into his term as Prime Minister. In November, he was shot in the leg while campaigning among crowds in the city of Wazirabad. He has accused a senior intelligence official of carrying out the attack, an accusation strongly denied by the military in recent days. A day before his arrest, the military had warned Mr. Khan against repeating the allegation, and because of that, he has been arrested. He's now facing dozens of charges relating to corruption and sedition, which he says are politically motivated. Until Tuesday, he had managed to evade arrest several times by refusing to show up to court hearing. His supporters argue that the current Pakistan government has brought these charges against Mr. Khan in a bid to bar him from contesting in general election due in October. Mr. Khan had been campaigning across the country for the poll to be held earlier. Mr. Imran Khan will face the law. If innocent, he can contest the election, but if found guilty of corruption, he will have to face the consequences of that, Minister of Planning Hassan Iqbal said in a press conference on Wednesday. And let me say good morning to Mr. Dave West as well. I hope you are doing very well. Regards to your lovely wife, Jenny. All right then, listeners, this is why I bring the program to a close for today. We'll be going straight to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So wherever you are, stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break, and once we come back, I will take you there. Enjoy this tune whilst I get myself ready.
And welcome to the 75th celebration of the King. Sing Bob Marley. Love.
1, 2, 3.
What you wanted us to be. We are what we are. That's the way it's going to be. If you don't know, you can't educate for no equal opportunity. Talking about my freedom, talking about my freedom. People, freedom and liberty. Yeah, yeah, we've been treading on a wine press much too long. Rebel, rebel. We've been taking for granted.
In such agony, he was forced to pull out 18 of his own teeth because he couldn't get access to a dentist. The grim fact is, despite repeated promises from the Prime Minister, Norwich and Norfolk remain dental deserts. So, Mr. Speaker, dentists excel at extracting rotten teeth. So will the Prime Minister agree with me? The only way my constituents will see results is when this rotten government is extracted from office and replaced with a Labour one.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very sorry to hear about the Honourable Gentleman's constituent. With regard to dentistry, he'll know there are record sums going into dentistry and indeed 500 more NHS dentists working today. Because of the contract reforms that we've put in place, 10% more activity can happen, and DHSE are currently talking about reforming the dentistry contract with the persons in practice to increase activity further.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituent Gordon, unfortunately, has been receiving cancer treatment at the Mount Vernon Hospital, which will soon fall within Sadiq Khan's new ULEZ boundaries. As Gordon continues his daily treatment, he will now be expected to pay £12.50 a charge or buy a new compliant vehicle. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that the British people already have enough on without Labour's London Mayor stretching household budgets further? His mismanagement of TfL finances.
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry to hear of my honourable friend's constituent Gordon, and I send him my best wishes. He will know that transport in London is devolved to the Labour Mayor, who is expanding the zone against the overwhelming views of residents and businesses. And what's more, his plan to raise costs for hard-working families is totally backed by the leader of the opposition. Perhaps he can now tell us why.
I don't think he's responsible for the questions. We now come to the leader of the opposition, Keir Starr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank all those who took part in the coronation celebrations over the weekend? And can I also take this chance to wish all the very best to my brilliant and talented constituent, May Muller, who is representing the UK at Eurovision in Liverpool this weekend. whole country is behind you, May. Now, Mr. Speaker, this time last week, the Prime Minister had to correct the record on misleading claims he made about employment numbers. Can he provide a further update? Now he's cost 1,000 Tory councillors their jobs.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me pass on my best wishes to May as well for this weekend Eurovision. With regard to the local elections, Mr. Speaker, maybe I can just offer the honourable gentleman a tiny bit of advice from one of his predecessors, Tony Blair, who I was reading the other day. What did Tony Blair? He said the right honourable gentleman can be as cocky as he likes about the local elections. Come a general election, policy counts. And we know, Mr. Speaker, the problem for him is he doesn't have any.
The Prime Minister said he was going to lose 1,000 seats, and then he managed it. After 13 years, a Tory promise they actually haven't broken. And this is the Prime Minister who's only had to fight for two things in his life. Last year, he lost a Tory beauty contest to the member for South West Norfolk, who then lost to a lettuce. Last week, when he finally came into contact with voters, he lost everywhere. No matter who the electorate is, the Prime Minister keeps entering a two-horse race and somehow finishing third. Given his track record, who does he think he's actually got a mandate from?
Mr. Speaker, it's a bit rich to hear about mandates from the person who's broken every single promise he was elected on. I mean, go through the list, Mr. Speaker. Nationalisations, NHS outsourcing, universal credit, and now tuition fees. Mr. Speaker, he was for them all before he was against them. He's not just the softie, he's the flaky too.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can understand why the Prime Minister's trying to wish away his terrible results, but peddling nonsense just doesn't work. Up and down the country, people want the government to focus on the cost of living, but he's got no answers. Is he planning to carry on as if nothing happened and ignore the message he was sent last week? Or is he going to do what a Labour government would do and announce an immediate freeze in council tax bills?
Mr. Speaker, I know he's asked his Labour councillors rightly to focus on the cost of living. Perhaps they could start with reducing council tax to the level in Conservative-run areas. But, Mr. Speaker, we're getting on with halving people's energy bills, freezing fuel duty to help them with the cost of living. What is stopping him having a plan is that, unfortunately, his shadow chancellor recently said she's discovered she's got a problem, Mr. Speaker. She realised that she actually, this is what she said, she actually has to, shock horror, say where the money's going to come from. With a £90 billion black hole in her plans, she's got a lot of work to do.
Mr. Speaker, there's only one party that broke the economy, and they're sitting right there. And it seems to me, to quote one of his more electorally successful predecessors, nothing has changed. Still blaming other people, still refusing to take the necessary action, still not listening to the country. And on council tax, it's quite simple. A Labour government would give every council the grant they need to freeze those bills, fully paid for by ending the handouts he's giving to oil and gas giants. So I ask him again, now his plan has been utterly rejected, why won't he do the same?
Mr. Speaker, just a quick history lesson. While he was busy softening sentences 13 years ago, let me just remind him what we inherited. It was the largest deficit in the G7 from Labour. Higher unemployment. The coffers were totally empty. And it didn't stop there, Mr. Speaker. After that, they wanted a longer lockdown. And now, they won't even oppose the picketers and the protesters, Mr. Speaker. Even in opposition, they're damaging the economy.
He's just not listening, is he? Even after the entire country, Mr. Speaker, from the Peak District to the Garden of England, rejected his government last week, he still thinks that protecting oil and gas profits is more important than freezing bills. Now, I'm sure the Prime Minister must finally have met some working people in recent weeks. Did any of them understand why he insists on protecting his precious non-dom tax status rather than scrapping it and using the money to train thousands of doctors and nurses?
Well, Mr. Speaker, he said that this money would fund the NHS workforce, but that plan was actually looked at by one of his own colleagues recently. Now that person said that it would discourage doctors and nurses from coming here, and that there was a £2 billion shortfall in his sums. Who said that? It was Alistair Darling. He might remember those days. It's when Labour bankrupted the economy.
I think that is the definition of nonsense. And this is the price of having a tired, worn-out government fronted by a Prime Minister who boasts he's never had a working-class friend. He's smiling his way through the cost of living crisis, gloating about success while waiting lists grow. He's pretending that crime, house building, schools are all just doing fine, while handing the country 24 tax rises, all with his name on them. How does he think the Tories can possibly provide the answers Britain needs when the whole country has already told him they're the problem, not the solution?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman is right. We all do say some silly things when we're younger. I was a teenager, and he'll know what I'm talking about, because I think in his 40s he was still talking about abolishing the monarchy, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
But it's the same old guff from him every week, Mr. Speaker. All politics and no action. We're getting on with halving people's energy bills, freezing fuel duty, cutting the costs of childcare, and boosting pay. While he's busy plotting coalitions, we're getting on and delivering for the British people.
Mr. Speaker, this Saturday is Surrey Day, a chance for locals and visitors to celebrate everything wonderful about our county, including our beautiful historic High Street in Guildford with its independent shops. But frequently raised with me is empty shops. High rents with high business rates makes it difficult for independent retailers to compete with national chains. Does my right honourable friend agree with me that this government must do everything it can to support our high streets as part of our plan to boost economic growth?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is absolutely right about the importance of high streets for local communities, not just in Surrey but around the country. That's why we are abolishing business rates for hundreds of thousands of eligible businesses in the retail, hospitality and leisure sector, and investing billions of pounds through the High Streets Fund and our Towns Fund to support local communities up and down the country.
SNP spokesperson Stephen Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the Prime Minister was to go to the boot of his Land Rover and pull out some placards which said "Save our nom-doms," would he expect to be arrested by the police?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, can I first put on record my thanks to the police for all their hard work over the weekend, ensuring that the coronation was a success. Now, look, on this issue, Mr. Speaker, we believe the police should have powers to make sure that they can protect the public from unnecessary and serious disruption. I respectfully recognise that the honourable gentleman disagrees with our position. I guess the question for both of us is, what does the honourable leader of the opposition think about this? Because it's quite hard to keep up.
Can I just remind the Prime Minister, it's Prime Minister's questions for him to answer, not asking, not for what the opposition's doing. Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, what we're talking about here is that nurses strike, doctors strike, firefighters strike, protest, firefighters protest, and of course Republicans protest as well. And they do so because it's a fundamental right within our democracy to be able to protest. So is the Prime Minister seriously saying that moving forward you can have your rights, but only on his terms?
Mr. Speaker, it is also the right of the British public to be able to go about their ordinary day-to-day lives without undue serious disruption. That's why it's right that the police have extra powers. I respect that the honourable gentleman disagrees with that, but we think it is right, and people will see every day on TV, their lives being disrupted. They're not able to get to school, to get to hospital appointments, and indeed to get to work. They should be able to do that, and the police should have powers to stop those who are preventing that from happening.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was an honour to welcome the Australian Prime Minister to Barrow last week so he could meet some of our fantastic apprentices, see the submarine programme and reaffirm his commitment to the AUKUS programme that will deliver thousands of jobs in my constituency and keep our nation safe. But what was a national endeavour is now an international one, and it's going to require a whole-of-government approach to get it over the line and deliver it well. So with that in mind, could I invite my right honourable friend to Barrow to see the programme for himself, and also to meet with me to see how we can best leverage the opportunities from this for the people of Barrow for generations to come?
Well, my honourable friend is a fantastic advocate for his local industry and community, and he's right, the SSN AUKUS submarines will be built in Barrow, the home of the British submarine industry. It will create thousands of new jobs, not just in Barrow, but across the UK. That's why the government is investing billions to modernise the enterprise, and I look forward to taking him up on his invitation.
And David.
Mr. Speaker, last week many lifelong Conservative voters turned to the Liberal Democrats to be their strong local champions. They delivered their verdict on the government's failure to hold water companies to account for dumping raw sewage into our rivers and onto our beaches. Last year, water bosses were paid £15 million in bonuses, rewarded for destroying our precious natural environment. 3 of those executives have now turned down their bonuses, but they should never have been entitled to them in the first place. So will the Prime Minister ban these sewage bonuses so that the dumping actually stops?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I struggle to hear the full question, but I think in one sense it doesn't really matter, because we all know the Liberal Democrats say one thing here and another thing locally anyway. And it is remarkable. No wonder he's attracted to the Labour leader these days, Mr. Speaker. Political opportunism and a broken promise on tuition fees. It must be like looking in the mirror.
Ben Bradley.
To highlight some success with Mansfield District Council now having more Conservative councillors than at any point in my lifetime after last week's local elections. I'm very proud of our local team. But one thing we heard on the doorstep was frustration and expectation that government needs to deliver on key pledges. There has been a commitment to our part of the world that we'll be given the clout, the investment to catch up with other regions that historically have had more than we've had. So will the Prime Minister take the opportunity to reiterate his commitment and to my constituents reassure them that he will support growth and investment in the East Midlands?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is a tireless advocate for the East Midlands, and in particular, I welcome the devolution deal that has been agreed among the 4 local authorities in the region, something I know my honourable friend has campaigned for, and like him, I look forward to those new devolved institutions being established as soon as possible to drive economic growth in his community.
Caroline Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister has previously declared, and I quote, "My daughter is the climate change champion in our house." I wonder if he's asked her what she thinks about Rosebank, the biggest undeveloped oil field in the North Sea, which would blow climate targets, create more emissions than 28 of the world's poorest countries combined, involve the obscene transfer of £4 billion of taxpayers' money to a Norwegian energy firm, Equinor, and do nothing for energy security since the vast majority of the oil will be exported. If he gives it the green light, will he be able to look his daughter in the eye and honestly say that he has done everything in his power to give her and all other young people a livable future?
Mr. Speaker, as the Independent Committee for Climate Change has acknowledged, we will need fossil fuels for the next few decades as we transition to a greener future. And during that period, it makes absolutely no sense to not invest in the resources we have here at home, to import foreign fossil fuels not create jobs here, and import them at twice the carbon emissions as our local resources. It is an economically illiterate policy, Mr. Speaker, but that's what you'd expect from the Green Party.
George Eustace.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last June, the government committed to bring forward a horticulture strategy to identify ways to expand British production of horticulture. And the importance of this was underlined by some of the supply chain challenges we saw earlier this spring. But in the last week, there's been speculation that the government might be abandoning that strategy. Can the Prime Minister give us any reassurance that the government remains committed to expanding this important British industry?
Prime Minister.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for all of his work championing this area. We are delivering for the horticulture sector, and it will benefit from the £168 million investment to drive innovation and support food production. And that's why we also passed the new Genetic Technology Act, Mr. Speaker, taking advantage of our Brexit opportunities to unlock the potential of new technologies. But I look forward to discussing this and other ideas at our new upcoming food summit.
Julie Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Has the Prime Minister or any of his ministers given commitments to BP, Equinor or any other company about contracts at the Teesworks site?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, contracts at the site would be a commercial matter for the companies involved.
Mr. Speaker, our farmers provide our food and our countryside's future. But there's concern among some Oxfordshire farmers that the new schemes under DEFRA's agricultural transition plan aren't ready for farmers to access them to make up the shortfall from the basic payment scheme. Will my right honourable friend push his colleagues in DEFRA to roll out the rest of the SFI standards as soon as possible and to consider double stacking SFI and countryside stewardship payments to ensure that Oxfordshire's farmers get the support they need?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable friend for his question, and of course we want to make sure that we continue to support farmers to produce healthy, nutritious food. We are pressing ahead with the ELM scheme, fine-tuning them though to make sure that they work even better for farmers. We want to make sure there's enough flexibility in the sustainable farming initiatives, and that's why DEFRA have designed the schemes with farmers in mind, enabling them to do more and to make sure that they can use countryside stewardship schemes on the same plots of land. But I look forward to discussing this with him and other colleagues as well.
Alan Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In Stirling, we've got a really potentially very exciting development at Forthside on former Ministry of Defence land, and sadly the development's got a bit stuck over a dispute about the costs of the decontamination of that land. Now, I'll work with anybody to get a result for Stirling. Will the Prime Minister meet with me and representatives of Stirling Council to get this development unblocked and make the progress we all want to see?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have invested in Stirling previously to unlock investment and drive growth, and I'll ensure that the honourable gentleman gets the meeting he needs with the relevant minister to make progress.
Mark Warburton.
The Prime Minister and I share a profound optimism about the power of technology, and AI in particular has the power to revolutionise public services and our private sector as well. But does he agree with me that it comes with risks? And while there are unrealistic calls to pause research into it altogether, it is crucial for us to work with our allies around the world so that the global norms that emerge in this important area reflect our values.
Well, my honourable friend speaks with experience and knowledge on this issue, and I absolutely agree with the thrust of his question. Whilst it would be implausible and wrong to halt the development of this technology, it is right that we ensure that there are appropriate guardrails in place as we look to exploit its opportunities. Those are the conversations we are having, not just with the companies involved, but also with our allies around the world, and he can expect further progress in the coming weeks and months.
Mike Nolly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following on from his earlier answer, as the Prime Minister knows, an Eat Out to Help Out scheme was introduced in August 2020, which increased demand for eating in restaurants by some 216% compared to 2019, with figures now showing that over 17,500 retail chain stores closed in 2020 alone, affecting nearly 35,000 employees. Would or has the Prime Minister considered a similar scheme for bricks and mortar retail, bricks versus clicks if you like, as part of the wider plan for regenerating local high streets and town centres?
Well,
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the way that we are supporting high streets and town centres is through making sure that we cut business rates in England. Obviously, the Scottish Government will receive Barnett consequentials from those actions, but now hundreds of thousands of local businesses on our high streets don't pay any business rates at all. And on top of that, through the Levelling Up Fund, Towns Fund and others, we're investing directly in local communities. Indeed, in his own, where I know council leaders described our investment of £19 million as very welcome and a real boost for the economic recovery.
Maggie through.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend recently scored a very rare own goal by backing Stockton Football Club in the Northern Premier League East Playoff Final, which eventually saw Long Eaton United win on penalties. In the interest of good sportsmanship, will he now congratulate Ian Deakin and his team on their resounding victory, wish Long Eaton United every success in the league for next season, and join me at Grange Park to cheer on Long Eaton United for the next season and wish them luck every season in the future.
Yeah, well, Mr. Speaker, can I join my honourable friend in congratulating her local football team and all involved in their stunning success. I'm not sure if I'll be able to join her in the immediate future, but I do look forward to seeing them go from strength to strength, much as the fortunes of my own team, sadly, are not in the place I would like them to be.
Jamie Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister may well have seen the astonishing sight of a former Scottish Government Minister standing up in the Chamber of Scottish Parliament and tearing up, literally ripping into pieces, the Scottish Government's highly protected marine area proposal. This proposal is deeply controversial all over Scotland and has even led to it being compared with a second Highland clearances. Is this not now the time? Is this not now the time for the UK government to step in and work with the devolved? There you have it. Mr. Speaker, I will not be silenced because it matters. This matters deeply to my constituents. Deeply. Is it not time for the UK government to step in, work with the devolved administrations to come up with a scheme that works and is acceptable, a conservation scheme that is acceptable in our fishing communities all around the UK?
Well, the honourable gentleman makes an excellent point, and he is a passionate champion, as he should be, for his local fishing communities. And he's right to highlight the concerns that have been raised, not just by them, but by members of the SNP's own party, about the potentially damaging impact of their plans to introduce the highly protected marine areas in the way that they are. I would encourage the SNP government to continue working with the Scottish fishing industry and coastal communities to understand their concerns, and as we've seen them recently U-turn on other poor thought-out decisions, hopefully they can relook at this one too.
Manchester.
The United Kingdom has a strong, deep, multi-dimensional relationship with Pakistan. And there are over 1.5 million British Pakistanis here, and many of them are dual nationals, as am I. The Prime Minister will have seen the scenes coming out from Pakistan, the civil unrest where people have lost their lives due to the detention of the Prime Minister Imran Khan. There are real concerns about the circumstances of his detention and the right to have a fair trial. The United Kingdom has in the past sent observers to hearings around the world to ensure natural justice is done. Has the Prime Minister considered that? If not, will he consider it?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable friend for his question. The UK, of course, has a long-standing and close relationship with Pakistan, and this weekend, especially as Commonwealth partners. The arrest of the former Prime Minister is an internal matter for Pakistan. We support peaceful, democratic processes and adherence to the rule of law, and we are monitoring the situation carefully.
Carolyn Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A little boy has gone to school today in shoes that don't fit him because his parents can't afford new ones. A little girl had water on her cornflakes because her mum had no money for milk. These are real stories from Faith and Families, a charity in my constituency that deal with poverty every day. Poverty that is causing prolonged shame and leading to a mental health crisis. Faith and Families are worried about these kids. I'm worried about these kids. If the Prime Minister is worried about these kids, what's he going to do about it?
Mr. Speaker, we don't want any child to grow up in poverty, and that's why I'm proud that there are 1.7 million fewer people living in poverty today than in 2010 because of the actions of this and previous Conservative governments. That includes hundreds of thousands of children, and we are providing incredible support to the most vulnerable in our society as we speak. Just last week, the first of our cost of living payments went out, £900 to help the most vulnerable families in our society. Those are our values, and we will keep supporting them as the inflation remains high.
Alan Cairns.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier in questions, the Leader of the Opposition sought to draw attention to council tax rates and council tax increases and offering some crocodile tears in the process. Can I draw attention to the Prime Minister's attention that whereas we have seen 43% increase in council tax rates since 2010 in England, the increase in Wales has been a staggering 67%. So therefore, is it not the case we should be looking at what Labour do rather than what Labour say?
My right honourable friend makes an excellent point. The Leader of the Opposition is very fond in telling us that Labour in Wales is his blueprint for how he would like to run the country, and as we've seen, all it means is higher bills for hard-working British families.
Shepherd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the last 2 years, the Drax power station in Yorkshire has, on average, burned almost 20,000 tonnes of trees every single day, releasing an equivalent amount of carbon into the atmosphere. During that time, whilst our constituents have struggled with their heating bills, the private company running Drax has received £1.5 million of subsidy through the government's energy policy every single day. This is set to continue until 2027. Can I ask the Prime Minister, will he step in and review this grotesque distortion of energy policy, which incentivises deforestation whilst making no contribution to tackling the climate emergency?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, while not being able to comment on the contract details of one particular company, what I can say is that our record on this issue is that since the benchmark was established, emissions in this country have fallen by almost 50%, whilst at the same time we've grown the economy by 2/3, not something I know the SNP government is as focused on as we are, but at the same time, because of the way that we regulate new and renewable energies, we've seen the price of renewables like offshore wind decline from £140 an hour to around 40. That shows a regulatory system that is working in delivering lower cost renewable energy for British families.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Plastic pollution is a scourge of modern day society. My 10-minute rule bill seeks to have microfiber, microplastic filters fitted in all commercial and domestic washing machines, legislation which France and other countries have already moved forward with. Will the Prime Minister, who has already done an enormous amount in tackling plastic pollution, will he organise a meeting between me and the stakeholders, particularly washing machine manufacturers, with the Secretary of State to discuss this very important issue?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we want to tackle microplastic pollution wherever possible, which is why we introduced a microbead ban and a tax on plastic bags. I know my honourable friend has campaigned for filters on washing machines, but he will also know they can be costly to install. DEFRA have outlined plans to make sure that we can use more filters, but I will ensure that he gets the meeting that he needs with the relevant minister to discuss this important matter further.
Stephen Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government ditching its pledge to recruit 6,000 more GPs is yet another example of the Tories over-promising and under-delivering, with teacher recruitment targets missed and housing pledges shelved. Why does the Prime Minister think that the only target he's actually met was the loss of 1,000 Tory councillors last week?
Maybe the honourable gentleman can tell us which of the many promises that the Leader of the Opposition made to him when he was campaigning he's most happy that he's U-turned on.
John Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Lincolnshire's roads, foodstuffs grown in our fine county are transported across the nation, but the Highways Authority struggles to fund roads because of the skewed funding formula devised by a previous Labour government. So many of our public services suffer, policing included. So will the Prime Minister agree to urgently review the local government funding formula, the police funding formula, so that Lincolnshire can have a fair deal?
Well, my right honourable friend is absolutely right to stand up for the particular needs of his rural community, and like him, I recognise that rural areas do often have higher costs of providing services. It's right that those are reflected where we can in funding formulas, but I'll make sure that he gets a meeting with a relevant minister to discuss this important matter further.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 13,450 prepayment meter vouchers have gone unclaimed in my Glasgow Central constituency at a value of over £887,000. Across Scotland, £16.5 million is unclaimed. The Prime Minister's Energy Bill Support Scheme is failing if money which could be helping our vulnerable constituents is resting in his government's account. I recall he's not very familiar with how prepayment meters work, but what will he do to ensure that every single penny gets out of government coffers and into the meters of those who really need it?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful that the Honourable Lady for a Change acknowledged the support that the government is providing to families up and down the country. Particular attention was given in designing those schemes to how to get the support to prepayment meters. The ministers are always engaged with stakeholders to make sure that there is awareness of those schemes, and I'll make sure that we keep up those efforts so that people do get the help that they need and deserve.
David Morris.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's very interesting that the Leader of the Opposition says about keeping council tax low when the Labour Party voted to increase Morecambe Town Council from historically £400,000, £200,000 to £2 million. So on that basis, I'd like to meet with the Prime Minister to see where we can find government time to cap parish councils from doing this sort of abhorrent behaviour.
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is right to highlight that council tax in Labour areas is higher than that in Conservative areas, which is not right at a time when there are pressures on the cost of living. I look forward to meeting him to discuss his plans to keep British families' household bills as low as they can be.
John Speller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dozens of Sudanese doctors who'd been working in the NHS were stranded and not allowed to return here. Last week, the Minister told us here that the Prime Minister took the decision to get them back. So why hadn't such a straightforward decision been made much earlier by the Home Secretary or the Foreign Secretary? Is it because he's an obsessive micromanager, or is it that his ministers are just not up to the job? Which one is it, Prime Minister?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman is completely wrong to describe as straightforward a complex and dangerous evacuation in a war zone, and actually it is actually the case that everyone involved deserves enormous credit for conducting what was the longest and largest evacuation of any Western country from Sudan. During that process, it was right that we moved deliberately and carefully to ensure the security of everyone involved and to prioritise British nationals and their dependents. Now that the operation is complete, we can look back and thank everyone for what was an incredibly successful operation.
Dr. Luke Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since 2010, violent crime has dropped by 38% and neighbourhood crime has dropped by over 50%. But one crime that has gone up is fraud. Now, many of us have dealt with constituents who've struggled with fraud. What is the Prime Minister going to do about it?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is absolutely right. 40% of all crime now is fraud. It's damaging for people's well-being as well as harming their finances, which is why the Home Secretary and I just recently launched a new plan to combat fraud with significant new investment, hundreds of new officers to tackle it, and action on social media companies to empower people to take action and to stop fraud happening in the first place. It represents the most comprehensive plan to tackle this issue, and it will make a big difference to families everywhere.
Final question, Stella Creasy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Friday, a young man with brilliant potential who was 16, Renell Charles, was brutally murdered on his way out from school in my constituency in Walthamstow. Yesterday, a 16-year-old boy was charged with his murder. Renell's family are heartbroken. Children in my community...
This is sub judice, so rather than go into detail, Stella Creasy.
I promise what I'm saying is those children are terrified to go to school. Their parents are frightened to let them, and the teachers are at their wits' end. They've asked me to come here today, Prime Minister, to beg you to make the epidemic of youth crime in our country a national priority. So will the Prime Minister meet with myself and representatives from my local community to talk about how we can get the mental health and mentoring support these young people need so that every young person in our country has that future they deserve?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I hope my honourable friend, I know the whole House will join me in expressing our sympathies and condolences to Ronelle's family for what's happened. She's absolutely right. We should do everything we can to tackle violence and murders against young people in particular. I'm pleased that knife crime has fallen by almost 10% and serious youth violence has fallen by 24% in the last few years. That's because we are giving the police the powers they need, whether that's stop or search, increasing jail terms and confiscating around 90,000 weapons. Of course, we will always look to do more to make sure that our streets are safe for our young people.
All for now.
Well, Prime Minister's questions there. 1 week after the local election results, well, the first week after the local election results, which were pretty bruising for the Conservatives. Our political editor, Beth Rigby, is here. And perhaps no surprise that Keir Starmer pushed hard on the local election results and what people thought of the Conservatives.
Yeah, Jane, and if you were Rishi Sunak going into PMQs this week, it will be a session that you will want to get over quickly because you've lost 1,000 councillors, a really poor performance, worse than internal projections, as I understand it, from Conservative campaign headquarters. Their worst case scenario was 750 losses, and you know that Keir Starmer is going to try to pin you on that, humiliate you, punish you, and that's what we saw. And actually the contours of those exchanges were predictable in that Keir Starmer was pushing the "you're tired and worn out, all of the country think you should go," and Rishi Sunak was saying, "People don't know your policies, I'm getting on with the job." And I think the final exchange between the two men sort of summed up perfectly their lines of attack, which I think we can have a listen to now.
It's the same old guff from him every week, Mr. Speaker. All politics and no action. We're getting on with halving people's energy bills, freezing fuel duty, cutting the costs of childcare and boosting pay. While he's busy plotting coalitions, we're getting on and delivering for the British people.
And that line about plotting coalitions, of course, it mirrors the interview that you did yesterday with Keir Starmer.
Yes, so what's very interesting about what came out of these local elections is that while Labour made very good progress, and Keir Starmer is quite right to stand there feeling pleased with himself, the other party sharing the limelight quite credibly was the Liberal Democrats. And on the projections that our psephologists, our election experts have done on these local election results, if you extrapolate it out, Keir Starmer is short of an outright majority at a general election. Now, Jane, when you look at the mountain he has to climb in terms of the swing, it's enormous. He has to do better than Tony Blair did back in 97 with that landslide. That was a post-war record swing to Labour or to any party. And he needs to do better than Tony Blair. So it's not unsurprising that he's not there yet and might not get there in the next year. So now the question obviously is, you're on course to become the largest party, but to actually govern, therefore, you might need to do a deal. And what was interesting in the interview we did with Keir Starmer yesterday was a year ago, Keir Starmer outright said, "I am not doing a deal with the SNP and I will not do any sort of deal with the Lib Dems." It's not a formal coalition, Jane, that we're talking about. It could be confidence and supply. That's when a party or a minority government, but a party votes for you to get your legislation through, so you have an informal arrangement. He ruled out all of it a year ago. I went into an interview with him yesterday expecting him to do the same, and he did not. What he did was he ruled out a deal with the SNP. He didn't rule a deal out with the Lib Dems. And I think what you saw at Prime Minister's questions, be it in that question, that answer to Keir Starmer, or also in an answer that the Prime Minister gave to Ed Davey, the Conservative Party might see this as an opportunity to whip up some of the old attack lines from previous elections about coalitions of chaos and vote Labour, get the SNP, or vote Labour, get the Liberal Democrats. What's interesting about all of this is that Ed Davey as well on the Liberal Democrat side, they're not ruling out a deal with Labour. They are ruling out a deal with the Conservatives because they got so badly burnt back in 2010 going into a formal coalition with the Conservatives and then sort of having near wipeout at the 2015 general election. So it's, they're local results. They don't necessarily correlate directly to a general election. It's a long way to go. Labour might gain, the Conservatives might shrink Labour's lead. Anything can happen, but it's inevitable now that there will be discussions about whether or not they'll do coalitions. And instead of closing that down for the time being yesterday, Sir Keir Starmer left the door open. And I wonder if it's because while he's going for the outright majority that he will say repeatedly he doesn't want to box himself in. And maybe also it's a nod to voters to perhaps vote tactically. Maybe that's what he's doing as well.
Interesting times.
That'd be fascinating, Jane.
Thanks a lot. Now, the publisher of the Daily Mirror has acknowledged and apologised for unlawfully gathering information about Prince Harry, saying it warrants compensation. The admission was made in court papers released as part of a phone hacking trial brought against the tabloid by several high-profile figures, including the Duke of Sussex. Well, the barrister representing the publisher, Andrew Green KC, said in the written arguments that it denied allegations of voicemail interception in the cases being examined during the trial. Mr. Green said there is some evidence of the instruction of third parties to engage in other types of unlawful information gathering in respect of each of the claimants, except for the case of actor Michael Turner, whose claim is entirely denied. He added, MGN unreservedly apologises for all such instances of unlawful information gathering and assures the claimants that such conduct will never be repeated. Well, Sky correspondent Ivor Bennett joins us now. So an apology and an admission at the start of this case, that's quite significant.
It is, Jane, yes. And even though this trial has only just begun, it is an important early victory for Prince Harry, with Mirror Group newspapers issuing this apology. It was in court documents outlining the publisher's defence. They've just been released. And it relates to one occasion where the publisher admits that a private investigator was engaged to unlawfully gather evidence about Prince Harry at China White's nightclub. That's a nightclub in London, and it relates to one night in February 2004, so nearly 20 years ago. It said it unreservedly apologises for this, it accepts it warrants compensation, and that it says these actions will never be repeated. Importantly, though, we have to say that the publisher still denies all allegations relating to voicemail interception, so phone hacking, and they continue to argue the claims have been brought too late in this case because they relate to articles that were published between 1991 and 2011. But nevertheless, this is an important victory for Prince Harry and the other claimants in this case. He is by no means the only high-profile figure. Other claimants include Ian Wright, the former footballer turned TV pundit, also the Girls Aloud singer Cheryl, and the estate of George Michael. They're all being represented by David Sherborne, who's a bit of a celebrity himself, a celebrity lawyer, given how many times he's appeared in cases like this representing the rich and famous. Today he has been outlining his opening arguments, and he has said in those opening arguments he's claimed that unlawful information gathering activities such as phone hacking were habitual and widespread, he said, at the Mirror newspaper. He also claims they were authorised and approved by senior executives. It's expected to last 7 weeks.
Well, let's take you across now to the Old Bailey, where two teenagers are being sentenced for murdering 16-year-old Rishmeet Singh, an Afghan asylum seeker who they'd mistaken for a member of a rival gang. And a warning, there may be details in the judge's remarks that some viewers may find distressing.
Following a violent stabbing on the streets of London. This case is the more tragic because Rishmeet was an entirely innocent victim. At your trial, this case is yet another tragic example of the needless loss of a young teenager's life following a violent stabbing on the streets of London. This case is the more tragic because Rishmeet was an entirely innocent victim. At your trial, all who knew Rishmeet spoke very fondly of him. He was described by friends as a good person who would not harm a fly, as pure of heart and a humble guy. He wouldn't get into a beef with anyone. He was never involved in any kind of violence. He had no convictions or cautions. He did not drink alcohol or take drugs. And it defies belief that you two sought him out to kill him. The impact of his death at your hands cannot be overstated. In her victim personal statement, his mother, Mrs. Kaur, tells a heart-rending story. In 2019, she came to the UK with her mother and her only child, Rishmeet, as asylum seekers from Afghanistan. Rishmeet's father had been killed by the Taliban. The Taliban had tried to kidnap Rishmeet and convert him to Islam. As Sikhs, the local Gurdwara helped them escape. They came here to seek a safe life. Neither she nor her mother speak good English. They were reliant upon Rishmeet for communication. Rishmeet was his mother's carer, as she is disabled by polio. They moved to Southall to be closer to an Afghan Sikh community. With hindsight, that decision to move will haunt Rishmeet's mother and grandmother for the rest of their lives. With Rishmeet's help, they obtained a flat. He was a vital and invaluable conduit in all administrative tasks. Rishmeet showed all the signs of growing into a valued member of society. He hoped to become a police officer. Against that background, with hope for a peaceful future and a productive and rewarding life for her son, Mrs. Kaur describes her loss following her son's murder. She cannot put into words the impact upon herself and Rishmeet's grandmother. She says, "I have lost everything and my life is over. I will never get over losing him in this way." She will not see him grow up and fulfill his aspirations. He had his whole future ahead of him. His mother now feels lonely and isolated. 16 months since Rishmeet's death and her pain has not subsided. She's on medication for depression. Her mother too is devastated at the loss of her grandson. Your actions have left those two women entirely bereft, with no male figure in their lives, in a country where they don't speak the language, a country where they sought refuge from a violent regime, only to face the ultimate loss as a result of what you two did. Nothing I can do or say today can bring Rishmeet back or relieve the pain your actions have caused. No term of years will be sufficient punishment so far as his mother and grandmother are concerned. No term of years can even begin to compensate them. You two are very close friends. You were both 17 in November 2021 when you committed the murder. From about September 2020, you, Mr. Balakrishnan, started hanging around in Hayes, and there you met older Hayes Town gang members and quickly became involved in the gang culture. You saw their expensive clothes and their postings of gang signs, and you were attracted by the scene. You were initially sucked in by the offer of free cannabis, but you ran up debts and were forced to deal Class A drugs as a result. It is an all too familiar picture in this court. A safe house at 68 Austin Road was used as a base by the gang to store drugs